Hello class, this is a video tutorial on solving quadratic inequalities by sketching. While we've seen solving inequalities using a table of signs, we can just use the properties of parabolas to solve quadratic inequations much faster. So let's get straight to it. So how we do this is first, we need to find the zeros for this parabola. By that we mean we solve for when x is equal to 0 first. So let's do that by factoring. So we get x plus 2, x plus 1 is equal to 0, which gives us x equals -2 and x equals -1. So from this, we can do a rough sketch of what this parabola might look like. Something like so, where we have x equaling -2 and x equaling -1. The parabola would look something like this. Obviously not 100% accurate, but really all we're looking for are the points of this parabola being less than or equal to 0. Well, from the graph it's very clear that all these points, let me highlight them, these points that I'm highlighting are less than 0. Well, what x values give that? It's between -2 and -1. So x, the solution for this inequality here is x less than -1, but greater than -2. And in bracket notation, there we are. So as you can see, it's a lot faster solving this by using a quick sketch. Let's do 4 more examples. Once again, we solve this for 0. So we get x. I'm getting +2. X -5 is equal to 0, which gives us x equals -2 and x equals +5. Quick sketch of this, we get the following: -2, +5, and a rough sketch of what this might look like. And now this inequation asks us what values of x are greater than 0. Well, it's very clear to see that these bits that I'm highlighting are greater than 0. So that gives us the solutions of x less than -2 and x greater than +5. Or in bracket notation, -infinity to -2 and a union with +5 to +infinity. Another example. Once again, we want to factorize this, but in actual fact, I can show you a trick for this. We're going to change the sign by dividing by -1. So it'll become x squared plus 2x minus 8. But because we divided everything by -1, we need to now flip the sign to be less than or equal to 0. And now this is the new inequality we can answer, and it will give us to the same solution as our original question. So factoring this, we get x plus 4, x minus 2 is equal to 0, giving us the roots of -4 and 2. Doing a rough sketch of this. Okay. So now, if we sketch this one out from -4 to +2, like so. We now want the points of this one that are less than 0. Well, it's very clear to see that these points are less than 0. So the solution to our inequality is x is less than or equal to 2 or greater than or equal to -4. Okay, so we might now come across inequalities that have, well, 2 inequalities on each side. But like we did in the previous question, if we rearrange the question so that we have an easier inequality to work with, well, it's a lot easier to work with. Here we go. So let's factor everything to one side. I'm going to move everything to the right-hand side. So it'll become 0 on the left-hand side is greater than 2x squared minus 5x minus 3. Factoring this equation, we can get, should become 2x x is equal to 0. So we need to test some values here. So let's test 3 and 1. They'll give us, yep, there we go. If you get positive 1, because 2 times -3 is 6, plus 1 is 5x, -5x. So this will give us the solutions 2x plus 1 equals 0, x equals -1/2, and x equals +3. Whoops. Doing a rough sketch of this again. I'm hoping you're getting the idea of how by sketching, a rough sketch, of these, we can quickly solve these inequalities. So now the inequality asks us where this inequality is greater than 0. Well, these points are here, are here and here. So the points that this inequality is greater than 0 are x is less than -1/2 and x is greater than 3, or in bracket notation, once again, -∞ to -1/2 union with 3 and +∞. One last question here. This one's nice and simple. Moving everything to one side. Factoring by 2 squares. And this is a very simple parabola to sketch. This is a basic parabola from -1 and 1. And once again, this inequation is asking us where is it greater than 0? 0. Well, these points here. So the solutions for this are x is greater than or equal to -1, and x is greater than or equal to +1. And once again, in bracket interval notation, from -∞ to -1, union with 1 to +∞. So I hope that gave you an insight into solving quadratic inequalities by sketching. Hope to see you in the next video. Best of luck.